Illinois basketball fills out its 15th and final roster spot. Who is it? Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome one, welcome all to another edition of Locked On Illini. Thank you all so much for making us your first listen each and every day. And thank you so much for making the Locked On Sports Network the number one sports network in the world. My name is Sonny Verma, your host here at Locked On, where, of course, I'm going to give you daily coverage. So if you're new to the show, make sure you hit the like button on this video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're less than a week away from football kicking off. So, again, there's going to be a lot of Illini content right here. So, I know I just talked about football. We're not going to talk about football today because Brad Underwood and the Illini men's basketball team dropped a note on Thursday night, almost pretty much out of nowhere. Illinois basketball at least the roster is officially complete. Brad Underwood and his staff made one final addition, and I'm going to be very open and upfront with you guys. I don't think this is a signing that's going to dramatically change the trajectory of this team next season, but that's not kind of the point. Illinois signed Quentin McCoy. He's a 6'3" point guard who spent the last 2 years at Arizona State. He's a Chicago native. He is coming back home, and the social media team made a pretty big deal, or at least emphasis on that on the social media page. Watching McCoy, I knew nothing about this signing, but watching McCoy tape, and I use air quotes on that because there's not much out there unless you're looking at the high school level. I don't think this is a guy who's going to be cracking the rotation, but I guess in some ways I do understand why the signing took place. Essentially, when you take it for what it is, Quentin McCoy is a player who has played 2 years in Power 4 basketball. Look, this roster, this Illini roster, we talk about the hashtag retention, right? The big story is bringing guys like David Mirkovic and Tommy and Zavonimir and Jake Davis, all those guys back from last year's roster. But the reality is almost half the roster is also freshmen. When you take a look at guys like Landon Davis, Lucas Murillo, Quentin Coleman, Lincoln Williams, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's a lot of inexperience during the practice time and in that locker room. And I think with this type of move, Brad maybe is just bringing somebody in who has some more veteran experience. Now, I'm being clear here. It's not game experience. It's veteran experience, a program experience. I think he played in 9 games in his 2 years at Arizona State. And to my knowledge, he only accumulated about 6 minutes. So again, not a guy that all of a sudden you need to go to the NIL store and go buy his jersey, which, by the way, feel free to. And if you want to use the code Sunny15 and you get 15% off. But, when you take a look at the backcourt options on this team, you have Stefan Vox, you have Quentin Coleman, then you have Ethan Brown, who I don't think is going to be a part of the rotation this year. Lucas Murillo, who's kind of like a hybrid Swiss Army knife who could probably give you minutes at guard, but I don't know if that's just his natural position. And then you have Blake Fagbemi, who is a sophomore from Bennett. Again, there's not a lot there in the backcourt. And if you were to have an injury for a guy like Stefan Vox, well, you're kind of limited in the options that you might have. And so I think this move, all in all, I should be open and honest. Like, Quentin did have a pretty decent high school career. He scored over 1,000 points for, I believe it was Lindbold. Let me look that up real quick. Yeah, Lindbold Math and Science Academy on the south side of Chicago. He finished his high school career with over 1,000 points. As a senior, he started all 32 games at point guard, and Lindbold finished 18-14 and won a regional championship. McCoy himself got all-state or honorable all-state recognition. So, again, there is some ability there. But I just think that maybe we need to kind of understand and at least reset any sort of expectations. Because, again, this happened Thursday night. And the Talk Illini Discord kind of went crazy. Hey, Sonny, you doing a rapid reaction? I didn't get a chance to because those of you watching on YouTube, you can kind of see my new backdrop that I'm working on to make it more aesthetically pleasing for you at this show. And so, had I known anything about this kid, maybe I could have come on and talked to him for about 8 to 10 minutes for a rapid reaction episode. But there's just not much information out there. And even once the breaking news happened, I kind of sat on my couch. I'm like, all right, who is this kid? I sent a couple of text messages out. As some of you know, I do have a couple guys who coach in the Chicago, both downtown and the Chicagoland area. And I asked them about their thoughts on McCoy. And one guy just simply responded as saying, I can't believe he's playing at Illinois, which, again, I think overall gives you the context that you need. Is Quentin McCoy going to be the deciding factor on whether this team makes it a repeat run to the Final Four? No. At least you kind of hope not. I mean, could he surprise? Sure. It's not like we haven't had unheralded guys, show up and show out. Brad Underwood tends to know what he's looking for, and Tyler Underwood and Orlando Antigua and that coaching staff. They do have an eye for talent. But I don't want to just sit here and mess around with you guys either. Like sometimes, when you land a top 15 guy, I come on here, I get super excited. I try to hype him up because I myself am excited. And the reactions that you're going to get from me when you tune into the show are all genuine. Quentin McCoy, I didn't know who he was yesterday. And even after doing some research and asking some of the people who know who he is, I don't know if there's necessarily something that you can get overly excited about. Does the move make sense on a high level? Yes. Bring in some more experience into that locker room. Bring in another guard for just in case. You like Blake Femi, but he's 6 foot nothing, 180 pounds or so. I know, Brad, if you're watching this, he's the most athletic player you've ever had. Nobody's doubting that. But you know what? This is not a high rocks that we're running when it comes to college basketball. This is about playing the game of college basketball and bringing in a guy from the home state, in the home city, Chicago, just to kind of find. I mean, you had the roster spot open, right? And it's not like they haven't been over the last couple of months. Look, I know I'm going to get these comments, and I'm just being straight up with you guys. A lot of people are going to say, hey, David is hurt. Why not bring in a backup four? I mean, even before David was hurt, you had that weakness when it comes to having a backup power forward. Why not bring in a backup power forward? Look, if there's anything you can know that this staff knows how to do, it's to build a roster. And if you don't think that they've been on the phones, that they've been reaching out to their contacts out in Europe about bringing in a big, that I don't know what to tell you. You're just simply not paying attention to what Brad Underwood has been doing here in Champaign for the last X amount of years. I think they've just gotten to the point now where, again, they've been practicing for a couple months. School has started, so the official practices are going to be underway. And I think they've just kind of recognized something that needed to be addressed. And in their case, it's going to be, having another body there. And so they've basically, I'm sure, he's got an IO connection. Whether that had anything to do with him signing with Illinois, I don't know. Again, grasping for straws. But overall, not a needle mover by any stretch of the imagination. I think this is just a way to finally fill out that roster spot and spend less time working the phone lines and trying to figure out who else is available. Because again, trust me, I'm sure they've been doing that. And now it's just, fill out that last roster spot and let's just get ready for the season. Let me know your guys' thoughts on Quentin McCoy. Has anyone watched him live? Maybe you guys have some input. Let me know in the comment section. Lorene Co. is known for its enamel-supporting gum, but now they're launching a nicotine-free pouch. Lorene Co. pouches are designed to provide clean focus while supporting enamel at the same time. Each pouch contains 50 milligrams of caffeine plus L-theanine and alpha GPC for smooth, steady focus without an energy clash. And because it's a Lorene product, every pouch also contains nano hydroxyapatite. I'm doing my best. The mineral teeth are made of to provide daily enamel support between brushings. Lorene Co. pouches are pouches that swap out of the nicotine and give you clean focus and support your enamel the whole time they're in. They come in cinnamon and mango, making it easy to find a flavor that fits into your daily routine. just remember, like Lorene Co. sent me, well, they did send me a new pouch. And quite honestly, I am a fan. I can use it in the car, on the rides, and before recording, because again, it makes it easy to work into my routine. I can tuck one in and keep doing what I'm doing. And I really like that it gives me a smooth energy and focus without feeling jittery. Give Lorene a try right now. Lorene Co. is offering our listeners up to 50% off at buylorene.com/lockedoncollege. That's buylorene, BUYLARINE.com/lockedoncollege for up to 50% off. Also, today's episode is being supported by Wayfair. Whether you're refreshing one room, getting ready for a new season, or finally replacing that piece of furniture you've been putting off, Wayfair makes it easy to find something that fits your home, your style, and your budget. You can shop furniture and decor across a wide range of price points with quality materials, pieces designed to stand up to real life. And with Wayfair verified product specialists, hand vet select products through a 10-point quality inspection, looking at things like material, functionality, features, and even how long they take to build. And if you're still trying to narrow down what to buy, Wayfair gives you plenty of real shopper feedback to work with. You can browse more than 20 million verified 5-star reviews, along with real customer photos and feedback to help you shop with more confidence. As like some of you know, I'm making that move. I'm trying to get settled in at the new place. And as you guys can see with the backdrop, there's a whole lot of shopping going on at Wayfair. Why? Because I just kind of trust their selection, and I think you should as well. Join Wayfair Rewards today to get 5% back on every purchase and start saving on your next home upgrade. Head to wayfair.com to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. And welcome back. I want to shout out to one of my everydayers, Vicky. Vicky sent me a message, I believe it was on one of the social media platforms, asking me if I'd watched the Brad Underwood and John Rothstein interview that dropped Thursday morning. Vicky, I just want to give you a special shout out just because I know you are one of my everydayers. I did watch it, and I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into it probably this weekend. On one of these episodes. I would have led with it, but obviously Illinois had a brand new player, so I figured I should kind of talk about him. But I didn't want to completely ignore the interview as well. By the way, I recommend all of you. I think it's a little over a half hour of content, and there's a lot of good nuggets in there from Brad. But one of the things that I feel like I should bring up is the fact that, once again, Illinois is dealing with what seemingly is just Illinois problems. He did mention that Tomislav Ivisic is still in Croatia. Oh, wait, no. This was from 2 days ago. This was not part of the interview. The interview I'll get to later on this week. Tomislav Ivisic, this actually I found it from Scott Ritchie. See, you know what? It's very early in the morning. I'm literally recording this at 4:30 in the morning on Friday. Tomislav Ivisic, according to Scott Ritchie of the News Gazette. There you go. Let me properly cite where I'm getting this information from. Scott Ritchie told us that Brad Underwood said that Tomislav Ivisic is still back in Europe. He's dealing with some sort of visa issue. Again, it's funny. I mean, it's kind of funny because his brother, who he spent time with in Europe, was cleared and is back in the States. Now, his brother has a hand injury, so he's kind of dealing with his own little separate set of problems. But from the sounds of it, this coaching staff isn't too worried about Tommy's status. You know what? This is a Friday episode. I'm going to take my analyst cap off and put my fan cap on. It seems like every single year we deal with stuff like this, right? Last year, we saw Mihailo Petrovic being stuck in Europe because of visa issues. I couldn't say stuck in Europe. That's home for him, but he wasn't cleared to come onto campus. And let's be honest, look, I know he's kind of a hot topic on the show. At least he was last year, but he never got an opportunity to, or maybe he never really fit in well with what Brad Underwood was doing. But who knows if he would have been given that chance if he had been here from the start. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Had he been on campus early in the summer and running that point guard position with Kylan Boswell and Keaton Wagler, he would have had more time to get acclimated with what Tyler Underwood wants in his offense, and maybe he would have been able to get more playing time on the court. I mean, we saw what Keaton Wagler ended up doing, so clearly Mihailo would not have retained or won a starting spot. But if Mihailo could have been a guy who could spell 5-10 minutes, who knows? Okay, you know what? I can already feel you guys getting mad at me for talking too much Petrovic on this episode, but you guys do get my point. Mihailo was injured last year during the offseason, and then once he got healthy, it was Andris Stojakovic who got hurt. Look, I'm completely discombobulated. No, Mihailo had the visa issues, and then he got here. Then Andris Stojakovic was hurt, and then Andris Stojakovic got healthy, and then once he got healthy, Mihailo got hurt, and he missed the first part of the season. That is the correct time. I eventually got there. But regardless, my point was, and also last year, I remember I went to Big Ten Media Days in Chicago to cover the basketball team, and it was supposed to be Kylan Boswell. It was supposed to be Brad Underwood. It was supposed to be Tomislav Ivisic, and Ty Rogers. Well, all of a sudden, we found out the morning of that Tomislav Ivisic would not be able to make the trip, and in his place, they sent Ben Hummerkaus. And we found out that Tommy had tonsillitis last year. And a lot, there's some people out there, I won't say a lot, but there are some people out there who say that the recovery from tonsillitis can take a really long time and have some lasting effects. And that might be one of the reasons that Tommy just started off so slowly last year. Quite honestly, look, we're in the trust tree here at Locked On Illini. We're a very, we have a nice community. Well, Tommy, he never really played like the way we kind of were hoping that he would make a leap after his first season in Champaign. And now, Illinois, we've already dealt with Lucas Murillo dealing with back injuries early on in the offseason. Now we're dealing with Tomislav Ivisic not being able to come back. And this does hurt, right? Because we don't know the status of David Mirkovic's injury. Of course, I probably should have led off with that. Oh, by the way, one of the 5 best players in college basketball. He's out for an undisclosed amount of time. Now you have Tommy dealing with visa issues. The problem is, with David out, you were kind of hoping that, or at least I was hoping, that Tommy could come in and play like the B version of what David was going to be expected to do next year in his sophomore leap. And we kind of saw glimpses of it, the way Tommy and Will Riley played off of each other at the end of the season in his first year here, that year that they made it to the round of 32 and ultimately lost to Kentucky. That version of Tomislav is a suitable replacement for what David was doing. But again, now we're dealing with the same sort of things. Tommy's not getting those practice reps. And I get it. A lot of the players in the rotation are guys that he played with last year. So maybe it's not going to be a huge, big deal. But there are some new guys. You have Stefan Vox. And the role that Tommy played last year is not the role that I think they want him to play early this year. I do think they're going to want to have him spell some of David Mirkovic's minutes. And I'm not saying position-wise. Tommy's clearly a 5, whereas David was a 4. But at least role-wise, on the court. Be the big man who you can engineer this offense through. And they're not going to have that opportunity to do that. Again, from Scott Ritchie's article, again, please go read it on the News Gazette. He's one of the best in the business when it comes to covering Illinois. It does not sound like it's a big deal, but let's be honest, this is not a political show and it never will be. But anytime I turn my TV on or my Twitter algorithm, there's always something going on in the political sphere. And so, when it comes to visa issues, it's just always something to kind of monitor. If Brad and the staff aren't worried, then I'm not going to sit here and tell you to worry. But at the same time, we've seen this happen before. And hopefully you're not going to have a repeat situation as last year. I mean, it's different because Mihailo, I'm assuming, didn't have the visa last year. Whereas Tommy, it seems like he just went back to go visit home, maybe train a little bit and come back. And again, oh, by the way, his twin brother, who he was out there with, is already back. Nothing in this world makes sense right now. It's not just the college basketball or college football world. Another thing I kind of mentioned, his brother, who is back, is also dealing with a hand injury. The extent of this hand injury, He wasn't very open and upfront with, but you would assume that if it was a serious one, maybe we'd get another post from the Illini men's basketball social media team, as we did with the David news. So we didn't get news on that front. So I'm taking that as a positive. I'm taking that as maybe it's just kind of more of an annoyance, something that's going to take a week or two to heal. But again, is this really going to affect the season outlook for this team? No. Of course, pending how long this ultimately takes. But I think this Illinois team, as I mentioned in the first segment, right, they bring in a guy with P4 experience just because the team itself, despite bringing back, I think, 65% of its production, there are a lot of new faces there. And so the best way to get these new faces acclimated is through reps. And I get it that the guys are maybe getting more reps now that some of the guys in front of them are not going to be playing. But still, you want those guys to have chemistry with people who are going to have big roles on this basketball team. Now, luckily, Brad did say Lucas is healthy now. Andrej Stojakovic is healthy now. And on the John Rothstein podcast, he did mention that he expects big seasons for Andrej Stojakovic, as do I. And again, I'm going to cover that on a later episode. But the news is disappointing, right? I'm not saying we're not signing the alarms or sounding the alarms. That's what I meant to say. We're not going to sound the alarms or anything like that. But Tommy's still not in America. The team itself is not practicing at full strength yet. What else comes of this, we don't know. But again, stay tuned to Locked On Illini, and I'll keep you afloat with whatever I hear. You guys are going to hear as well. If you've got a sweet tooth like I do, you know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all the sugar. That's why Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy Shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. This is that classic cotton candy taste you remember, but with a tasty caffeine boost and zero sugar. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. I've always loved the cotton candy, but I can't be eating sweets all day. So this is kind of the perfect alternative. It's become my go-to when I want something sweet without going overboard. Bring on the sweetness with Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy Shots, available online now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. And welcome back. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button on this video. And again, please send this channel to any Illini fans who might be in your life who may not know that the Locked On Illini channel exists. Now that the season is just less than a week away, we're going to be covering every single sport, as we always do right here. And so people, I can understand in the offseason, you're kind of checked out. The Discord becomes a little less populated. But now things are certainly starting to pick up. And again, once Quentin McCoy news dropped late last night, the whole Discord was buzzing. People asking, who is he? What kind of role is he going to play? If you're interested in joining the Discord, please, the link should be in the description. It's absolutely free, guys. Absolutely free. Almost 500 other Illini fans. You guys remember how crazy the Game Day channel used to be? And that'll be intact again next week when Illinois plays UAB to kick off their season. It is my goal to hit 5,000 subs. Hopefully, it was before we kicked off for the season. I don't think it's going to happen unless you guys can help me make it happen. I think I'm about 200 away. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. All right. Some quick notes before I let you go today. I hope you guys all enjoy your weekends, by the way. Quinton Kitt is ranked now number 55 on the ESPN SC Next Top 100 Player Rankings for the class of 2027. Again, it looks like another really good read by Brad Underwood and his coaching staff and this whole recruiting staff in general. They've been really good at this. I don't have to tell you about in years past. It seems like, a decade ago, and some of you old heads may recall, like if you're on the message boards, it's like every time a player was like a borderline 4-star and he committed to Illinois, because Illinois didn't have the cachet, didn't have the brand name, they'd automatically kind of be dumped down to a high 3-star. As opposed to if they signed for a bigger brand name, then they'd be moving up the rankings. Well, now things have kind of turned around. It's seemingly, or maybe they have, or maybe Brad Underwood's just making good evaluations. Maybe, I'm not giving the staff enough credit, but it does seem now that the national analysts out there do trust that Brad and the coaching staff know what they're doing. And it seems this has happened a couple times over the past few years where Illinois gets in early on a guy, and they'll get in a guy when he's in his hundreds, as Quentin Kitt was when they recruited him, or when they got his commitment, and now he's up to number 55 on the SC Next. And so hopefully just another good evaluation. Quentin Kitt, Mason Martin. Obviously, they're going to be going after some big fish in the 2027 class as well. We've got a bunch of 5-stars visiting over the next month and a half or so. But again, that's the excitement of it all. And I'm going to be covering each and every one of those guys whenever I do get a chance. It's Wabbington, Bowman is visiting, and Kamisoko. They're not going to be in on the Caden Daughtry. Caden Daughtry trimmed his list to 14 teams. I don't know how you trim a list of 14, but Illinois didn't make the last 14. Watch out for Iowa on that one. That would not be ideal for Illini fans, because I really do think Ben McCollum is the guy who can do some serious coaching over there in Iowa City. And so they've been hard after Caden Daughtry. So that's going to be something to kind of monitor. But again, nothing to worry about, because Illinois has got their own pipeline that they're working on, including Wabbington, Bowman, Kamisoko, Brady Pettigrew. I fully expect to transition to the 2027 class. It is what it is. Recruiting is very fluid. We know that. But again, it's just nice that Illinois locks in their guys early. And even though they lock in their guys early, sometimes fans are not necessarily all that excited, saying, hey, we're used to getting the 15th ranked player, or top 25, at the very least top 50. And now you see that ultimately, even if Brad gets them when they're ranked in the early 100s, let's just say, they do tend to vault up there to maybe a top 75 or so. The Illini women's soccer team, they tied yesterday. I wanted to mention that 1-1. Their season has just gotten started, and I believe they're about to go on a road trip. So definitely want to wish good luck to the Lady Illini. Okay, that's going to just about wrap it up for this edition of Locked On. I hope you all enjoy your Fridays. I hope you all enjoy your weekends. The content here is not going to stop. Again, it was delayed slightly because I was working on that backdrop. It was driving me crazy what it was looking like previously to this episode. But on your way out, please, if you don't mind, hit that like button. And if you really want to do me a favor, if you're a YouTube watcher, go to your favorite audio platform and just hit that subscribe button to Locked On Illini. It really does help this channel grow. It's going to help me get more resources to provide you better content. And it's going to take you all of, 10 seconds. So if you guys don't mind, please consider doing that. And do the opposite. If you're an audio listener, we have more audio listeners actually than we do on the YouTube side. Do me a favor. Jump onto YouTube real quick on your phone. Grab your wife's phone, grab your girlfriend's phone, grab your boyfriend's phone, and just go find Locked On Illini on YouTube. Make sure and just hit that subscribe button. Again, trust me, it does help. And it would be a dream come true if I could hit 5,000 subs in maybe the next month or so. All right, I've taken up enough of your guys' time. You'll have more content this weekend. Until next time, ILL. Love you guys.